Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. You guys know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things DutyRon and this guy right here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight we want to talk about a subject that is very, it's a very dangerous topic. And we want to touch on this topic because it involves a good friend of ours, hidden true crime, Lauren Matthias, and her family. Cyber-stalking and bullying and the like online. We have touched on this in the past, Ed. We did live streams for a lot of other creators who have been experiencing this, but we know that it happens to the everyday Joe citizen. Everyday guys, gals get stalked and harassed online on a regular basis. Doesn't matter if it's YouTube, doesn't matter if it's TikTok, whatever the platform. These actions have serious consequences sometimes, and sometimes people lose their lives based on the harassment, stalking, and the rhetoric that gets fired up in between the conversations on Twitter and Instagram and X, and stories get twisted, and people that are somewhat angry with the particular creator or person could now be pushed over onto the other side of that fence. And I want you to talk a little bit about, what we're going to get into with our good friend Lauren from Hidden True Crime tonight. She's going to be joining us in a few minutes, Ed. Whoops. I did that wrong, Ed. Where did you go? There you go. Go ahead, Ed.
I can't stand bullying of any kind, whether it's kids at school, online, cyberbullying, whatever you want to call it. I have no place for that in my stomach. I cannot stand that. Okay. And nothing gets me more riled up than when parents of children who are bullies start bullying children as well. But there's bullying and then there's stalking. Now, these are two different things, but you can do both and be both, okay, at the same time. But now you're getting into the world of Ron and I, and we're going to be giving you our perspectives as retired New York City detectives of how we had to deal with things like this in our careers, where women had to go and get orders of protection from our courts to help protect them from stalkers, ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, okay, things of that nature. And remember, I always tell you, stay prepared, stay safe, and watch your six. And it's for a reason, okay? Even though you get these orders of protection, they're just paper, okay? You still have to take the appropriate protective actions for yourself and your family against these people. Now, when we were all kids, we can all remember this and relate to it. When we were all kids in school, before the internet, okay, you had a bully at school. Well, there was a break from that bully after school was over and you went home typically, okay? And you had your core group of friends in your neighborhood and that's where you hung out. And typically the bully wasn't in your neighborhood and was someplace else. So you had that break. It wasn't 24/7, 365, now as it is today with the advent of social media and the internet, okay? People, the people that are doing this, you are playing a very dangerous game. And a lot of what you're doing is criminal. And you have to be made aware of that your actions comes with consequences. Okay. I've locked up numerous people for violating orders of protection in my career. Okay. And what I'm seeing here is very disturbing.
Yeah, it's troubling in many different ways, Ed. And, we look at many public figures. We have politicians who have been killed in recent history. We had political figures like Charlie Kirk as well, shot and killed all over rhetoric and, violent conversations of hate. And it doesn't matter if it's moderate or, strong hate. anytime you're spewing negative things about people on social media, there's always people who will follow that lead. Listen, this is again, this is not something that's directly affecting us, but I could tell you that in my inbox on DutyRon.com at any given time, we get hate. We get people who say, "Hey, I don't agree with what you're saying. I don't like what you're saying. I don't like what you did." We, at my place of business where I work, we fire people on a regular basis. People get hired and people get fired. And in this case, with our good friend Lauren, it seems like it was a business associate that was also mixed in with some type of friendship. And we're going to let Lauren Matthias from Hidden True Crime tell that story. She did it in a long 9-hour marathon. It was emotional. You listen to different aspects of it. And some people, Ed, everyone perceives things differently. There are some people in the chat and some people online that said, I listened to the 9 hours of Lauren and I got nothing out of it. Well, and then there's other people who say, I listened to Lauren for 9 hours and I got a lot out of it. So I wanted to host her because I told her, listen, we stand with you because I have personally taken orders of protections out of people's pockets after they were killed.
Yeah.
I've responded to a domestic where a young woman had an order of protection against a friend, not even a significant other. This was a friend who turned into an enemy. And that girl stabbed this girl numerous times, and I pulled that order of protection. I'll never forget that.
No, we've had high-profile cases here with orders of protection laying right next to the victim. In New Jersey, there was one. She got an order of protection against her ex, and she tried to get a concealed carry permit from the state of New Jersey. They refused her, and he shot and killed her in her driveway.
Yeah.
But like I said, with this day and age, with the internet, though, this is just beyond one person. One person may start this. Okay. And then all these haters come out of the woodwork. Okay. And you never know what's going to trigger somebody to go beyond just words and do something fatal, a physical action. Okay. And commit a heinous crime because they were inspired by what they were seeing published on the internet.
Correct. And you said it well, Ed. Back in the day, prior to the internet, you would go home and you'd get a reprieve from your loved ones, your family, your friends. In this day and age, it's there. You can't get away from it. Every time you open your phone up, there's notifications that come up and so forth. But listen, let's grab our good friend Lauren Matthias. Let's let her come in here and let's have a conversation about what she's experienced over the last several months. And I don't even know the exact timeline of how long this has been going on, but let's let her talk to our audience because we do share a lot of similar subscriber base. So a lot of our people follow her and vice versa. Lauren, thank you for coming here and thank you for taking the time out of your family life to come and talk to us about this.
Absolutely. Well, I first off just want to thank both of you for having me. Honestly, it was clearly very overwhelming to do. I'd never wanted to do it. I was clearly very emotional. I felt like my hand had been forced and I didn't really know how to then appear back on YouTube, which is my work and what I do. And so I just want to first off thank the DutyRon channel for being just a safe space for me to come back on and break the silence after that marathon. So thank you to my friends, Ed and Ron. So I'm doing okay. I'm back home with my husband, John. We're okay. We feel good. I still feel very scared. I know that I feel like I took my power back, but I also I'm still in the what's next? I know that a lot of people are now doing lives about my life. And so I'm just hunkered down and with my family. I'm very grateful to be with them. And grateful that you called and reached out. And for everyone, I guess I want to say too, thank you to everyone that's reached out, creators, gems, everyone. We are getting the emails. Thank you. We did a little private Patreon will be And I'll be back on YouTube after this, but thank you for allowing me to have a place to just come back and say, hi, I'm okay.
It takes time, Lauren. This is, bless you, Ed. This is not a normal thing.
No.
Like, look, we as law enforcement professionals, we're used to dealing with this. I've responded to arguably thousands of domestic incident calls. Ed, same thing for him. But what we mention and what we can bring to this conversation is that the escalation of this and how this can spiral out of control. I want to just validate your fears. I want to say that, as a mother, you as a mother, me as a father, and your husband, obviously, Dr. John as a dad, your first, instinct is to protect your family and protect
Yes.
the vulnerable, your son.
Yes.
And I have questions. I have a lot of questions to ask you.
And you're allowed to ask them. Do you want, just to make it fair, if you ask a question that I don't want to answer, I'll say I don't want to answer it. So I'm a journalist. Like, I can handle questions, ask away. I'm sure a lot of people are curious. Go for it. And I have some questions for you too. As law enforcement, I'll have questions for you too. So I hope this isn't just be a conversation among friends.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple of things I want to clear up. I think one of the big fair criticisms I've gotten, or questions that I've gotten, maybe not even a criticism, but a question, is I cover criminal cases. I cover people's pain. It is true. I try to do it ethically, but crime is pain. And I cover trials and criminal trials. What is different with mine being live streamed? And I think I want to explain that the reason that civil stalking injunctions are not live streamed would be the same reason, or even reported on, would be the same reason that a child custody battle wouldn't be live streamed, or anything that has to do with really someone trying to escape an abuser, which is coercive control. Right. You've got intimidation, coercive control, things that you can speak to, fears of escalation, fears of people that don't like me finding out, and it escalating, getting bigger and bigger, to where it potentially becomes a more concerning, frightening situation. So the actual idea of a civil stalking injunction being reported on, in my opinion, is just so unethical. I want to point out too, as a journalist, someone with a background, I would never cover such a thing. And on our channel, we would never cover such a thing, just like we wouldn't cover, a child custody battle. So I do want to explain that difference. And yes, though, I also want to humbly say, has it made me rethink even bigger how I'm going to cover crime in the future? Yes, we do try to be victim-centered. We do try to be aware. We do try to be careful. And I will continue to do that at Hidden True Crime, and maybe even become better at it and more empathic. But I did want to explain that difference a little bit, because that was a big question out there. What's the difference between a criminal trial and what this was? And I, to this day, I'll never understand why they put in a media request and why they never reached out to me to understand more, but whatever.
Yeah. And one of my questions was going to be, and you beat me to the punch, it's one of on my list, and I have a whole list here. I have a whole notepad. Do you know why law and crime trials got wind, or how they got wind of this civil case? Because like you said, there are high profile civil cases that we heard of, them covering Johnny Depp, some of these other ones. You listed it, you mentioned it in your video that you did, the 9-hour video. Other creators that have a lot of drama surrounding them, and their cases where it's a civil case is out there in the news, and people are talking about it. The news goes and tries to cover it, gives local coverage to it. But, it just seemed like, for me as a detective, I detected something stunk about this, that it was just weird that law and crime all of a sudden was focused in on Lauren Matthias and her civil case that she was in the process of moving forward. And Ed, you agreed with me when we were in the green room talking about this. It just didn't seem right. Can you speak on to that, or would you rather not?
No, I'll be willing. I don't know. So full disclosure, I don't know. To this day, law and crime has never reached out to me, ever, not even since. I do know that one creator named Lori Hellis did a live at the same time I was doing a live, unbeknownst to me. I didn't know that was happening. and that she stated that she was sitting with my stalker and Anjanette Levy at CrimeCon when police were trying to escort my stalker out. By the way, I want to clarify that that night was the night after the photos were taken, because there's some people saying that they were there. There were 2 nights. So the first night she was there, the photos were taken. We were sitting, we'd been there all night, and she was just there with a camera hanging around us in socks. The second night, I'll clarify this too, because people are telling stories. The second night, Aurora PD was very well aware. They actually referred to her as an agitator. They saw the evidence and what was happening. They referred to her as an agitator. They saw that she was in the bar the second night. And, you know, I hadn't been there. I'd been at the Clue Awards celebrating the Delphi victims receiving an award.
Right.
So she, you know, could technically be allowed in the bar as long as she was 500 feet from me. So the Aurora PD actually escorted us and said to me and my producer, go around the bar, go look and see if you can see her before you enter so that we can then ask her to leave. So we were requested by police to do that because there are rumors about how, you know, we were told to do that. So we looked, we saw she was there, and so we told the police officer on duty, and they asked her to leave. And I do know, according to Lori Hellis, she's with I can't think of her channel name, but she stated while I was going live that she was with Anjanette Levy and my stalker when approached. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just relaying what one creator stated, but I don't know. I don't want to put any blame on anyone because, like I said, I don't know. I was just absolutely shocked. And I'll tell you this too, as someone that covers trials, this was very interesting. But we had heard, my team of attorneys and I had heard like 3-4 days earlier that there had been a media request. And when there is a media request, you know this, you find out who's requesting to be pooled or what they're requesting. You're like, oh, Court TV is asking to be pooled. We'll see, you know, if it gets approved or not. It's in there. It's on the docket. You can see it. And we could see there was a media request, which was shocking. We couldn't see who. So I thought, oh, maybe it's a small YouTuber, like trying to get in, you know, their hearing. And so our attorneys called the court and said, hey, can you tell us who the media request is for? And they said, we can't actually, because it went from somebody straight to the judge's desk. And so we can't see who it's for. And we're like, huh. And so we wrote, which I read on my 9-hour live, a very lengthy reason as to why there should never be media in a civil stalking injunction, and my specific civil stalking injunction, why I'm in danger. And like I said, this is someone trying to escape a coercive control issue. And then I was actually at my attorney's office when it was approved, and they were like, it was long crime. And so I will never know why they did that. Yeah, they're not checking the Utah civil, and I will never know why they didn't reach out to me and how this happened.
Yeah, interesting. I want to switch gears just a minute because, you know, I got a little ahead of myself here about asking about Lauren crime. But another question that I had for you, and I think a lot of people want to know, and I do believe that you gave quite a detailed explanation of this, is, do you know, Lauren, why this is happening to you? Why and how this started? Can you give a overview to folks who might not be clear on this, is exactly how and why when these wheels started turning and the turn of events that led to where we are today?
Yeah. And then if you want to jump in and tell me why you really think it's happening, let me know. You know, I'm hidden true crime. We're proud to say that we have the hidden motives, but at this point, you being law enforcement, maybe you can help me understand. But I can say in general, the TLDR for those that they can't handle watching a 9-hour live stream, is I have a business that was growing, and I had contract workers, and one of them quit unhappy. And then I had another contract worker who I then terminated. And then I had them, then I had the friends, and then there were friends. Two contract workers. Like I should say, the stalker was also a contract worker. Although oddly, she says on her TikTok accounts targeting me that she was just an ex-friend and never a TikTok worker, but I have plenty of invoices showing she was. And so you've got two ex-contract workers contacting another ex-contract worker, and then you've got this stalker that's actually reaching out to every person I confided might have a beef with me from my past, and they're getting a larger and larger group together. I think their ultimate thing of power is that in private conversations, I said mean things about people, and that they have the receipts and that they know. And then what this group did is then start reaching out to other people to join the fold. I call it a whisper campaign, where it's all behind the scenes. And I can tell you, like, this is actually, I get a lot of texts all the time. My phone was silent. Like, I don't know how far this went, and then we're getting whispers and threats, and a few things are coming out, and someone's finally calling me saying, hey, I got a call from this person. And I'm like, that person? And they're telling me, people I've interviewed, people I love, to never trust you again, that you're evil, like that you are really bad. And, things like that. It just continues just like, and, but it all leads back to what I just told you, ex-contract workers. That all roads lead back to the ex-contract workers and their friends. And then, it just goes bigger and bigger. No one reaching out to me, by the way, not even law and crime. And getting bigger and bigger to the point where there's this giant snowball. I don't know right from left. And then it gets to the point where I'm trying to reach out to people to understand, a Proton email goes out. And this is where it gets strange too, because I'm thinking, oh no, some of my private texts have gotten out. I'm ashamed. I'm not perfect. It's embarrassing. But then there's a Proton email that goes out, meaning Proton is a protected thing where it's anonymous, and it goes out while I'm covering the Brandon Boudreaux trial, Lori Vallow representing herself, and it says that I've talked shit about all these people that actually aren't people I've talked shit about. So now I'm like, okay, right. Now it's a smear campaign. This isn't actually even what I've actually said. Okay, I haven't talked shit about these people. One of them's like my best friend. So I'm like, what's going on? So that's happening. I'm trying to reach out to people right and left to figure out what's going on. And then no one will pick up my phone calls or talk to me. So my producer reaches out to a creator who says they want my head on a platter and that I better brace myself because it's going to go viral and it's bad. And she continued to say, brace ourselves over and over again. It was so scary. Again, with my phone being silent, no one talking to me, the threats that I've spoken about people I haven't, that I called the police because they're like, they want my head on a platter, and people turning on me that I thought were my friends too. Like, so, and now they're saying that I'm abusing the police. Like, there's nothing I can do that's right. I'm like spinning my wheels, right? Like, I call the police, now I'm abusing the police. I take it lying down, they just keep punching. I gray rock it, meaning you stay silent, you don't respond, it doesn't stop. And then after that, brace yourself. Multiple accounts happen. I actually only said on my live that there was a TikTok and Instagram. I had no idea she had a YouTube too. But, so multiple accounts, a Twitter, whatever it's called, X recently started. And just every other day, threatening, cyberbullying on all of these accounts, saying they have something on me. And then it also makes me wonder, what did I do? Maybe I am bad. I have things I'm ashamed of that I said behind the scenes I do. So then you start questioning yourself, and I'm like, I am a bad person. Like, what did I do? What do they have? And that's kind of, my husband's taught me, like, coercive control and intimidation. Like, We have the receipts. A lot of people have been saying for about 5 months they've got the receipts. But just repeat it, and it's been going on for months. And I actually ignored it for months and months and months. It got bigger and bigger. Like I said, I have been canceled on news organizations. So not knowing how or why, and then I'm finding out, I think the scariest part for me was also finding out that this, the person on all the accounts saying bad things about me, cyberbullying me, is then calling people that she knows that I have beefs with and riling them up, like from years ago. And she's reaching out to people where I'm realizing that just that alone is a violent act. Like when you have a problem with somebody from the past and it maybe didn't end well, and they're calling them and they're instigating their anger and their then it got very scary. And so I was very fearful to go anywhere, and I was going to go actually to the Adelson trial. And because of this, that's why I didn't go. I reported from home, and then it kept getting, so then I learned like there's more people coming from my past, and I'm like, what are they doing? And then the TikToks are saying, we're trying to find her LinkedIn. Isn't it strange? She doesn't have a LinkedIn. I can't figure out who's linked with her. In other words, I can't call them. And then they're saying, okay, I've called UNLV now. That's where my husband is an adjunct professor. And they're saying that they're exposing my husband, who has nothing to do with this. And people have been wondering why he hasn't been on YouTube. And we've only been doing Patreon episodes, angry that, we're putting my co-host behind a paywall. Well, yeah, because we feel safer behind a paywall. That's, he had a board complaint recently. He had to defend, which he defended, and it was ridiculous. Like it's just like, I didn't mention that on my live either. Right. There are more Patreon emails. There's more stuff going on. I mean, I know that I covered it for 9 hours, but I didn't cover everything going on. And and then you can't explain it either. Like, I'm not this person. So I don't know. I don't see, it's so hard to explain, which is why I did a 9-hour live. I'm like, no one can believe this. And my fear, if I was going to say it, I had to say it, So I spent
Can I jump in here and say something?
hours saying it. Yeah.
Okay. For people saying that, oh, this isn't restraining order stuff, that this is just mean girl behavior. Well, I'm sorry, this is beyond mean girl behavior. They have crossed the line into the criminality. Okay. Constant threats, emails, text, videos, and so forth. The crime there would be aggravated harassment. Yes. Okay. Contacting other people from the past that may have had a beef with Lauren and so forth. Now we start getting into aggravated harassment and conspiracy. Okay. Then making any type of threat over the internet, besides, is a federal crime. And we're talking about making terroristic threats. Okay. I mean, if this was a beef between an employer and a contractor, well, we have legal ways to deal with this in civil court, okay, or criminal court, depending on if there are being or crimes are being alleged about an employer contract with a contractor, okay. Now, if this was some other kind of beef, okay, well, you've taken that beef to an unreasonable level, okay. And you have to step back and take a look at what's going on here. Okay. This is not normal, folks. This is not normal. And it's unreasonable. And a judge already issued a restraining order. Okay. Evidence was presented and the judge saw it. Now, let me step back even further. Having seen the video of the Aurora Police Department encounter at the crime con, okay, she's lucky she walked away. If I was given that order of protection from a complainant and I read it and there's the person within 500 feet doing exactly what the order tells her she can't do, and after talking to her, I find out she knew about it and she was served and she has a photograph of it sent to her. Okay. The bracelets come out and she's in cuffs and she's leaving CrimeCon with me.
Violating an order of protection is a crime.
That's right.
She did it several times. But see, people in the chat, Ed, are saying, well, I didn't see or hear any threats. Threats don't have to be direct. And when you tell somebody, which they told Lauren, that creators, I think they said plural, many people or many creators want your head on a platter, that's a threat. It's an idle threat. And, people don't understand that you can't just go around saying, we're going to ruin you, we're going to do this. And the amount of not only psychological torture we saw and heard Lauren talk and get so vulnerable on that live stream, that 9-hour live stream, she talked about harming herself. I mean, this is not something that she had to share with everybody, but she wanted to share it to show you with full transparency the enormity of what these events are doing to not only her, but her entire family. Her husband's blood pressure raising up, her son asking questions. This is not regular, normal, good human behavior. This is beyond it. Ed,
now, Lauren, the incident at the bar restaurant with her videotaping your party, okay? She was well within 500 feet, okay? Yeah. This occurred after the police confrontation at CrimeCon.
That night.
So she knew she was given a break by the police. She knew about the restraining order, the order protection. And then that night she goes out and violates it again. Now, any reasonable person looking at this should understand this is not reasonable behavior. This is not normal behavior. That something is wrong here. Okay. And she could have been arrested in the bar.
Yeah. I also want to point out that she also posted that day. This is how subtle it is, how vague. No one else would notice, but she knows that I'm watching, right? Because I've filed something. So how vague it is. She posts on the TikTok targeting on me, or all the accounts, her smiling and the lyrics to Worms, which is an Eminem song. Go look up the first verse. So I don't want to misphrase it. Google it and read the first lines of Worms. So after she was served by Aurora Police, shared her smiling, doing a verse of this song, then showed up in the bar. And do you see the words? Something about the plaintiff. I think. I'm
gonna play it if you don't mind. Is it okay if I play that TikTok?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. If you don't want me to, I won't.
No, go ahead.
Look, this is her entire TikTok. I went and showed Ed before we went live. It's like almost every one of her created TikToks on that account, or indirectly, or she doesn't mention you by name, and that's where people are getting caught up. Ed, I know you might have something to add to this. This girl, Christina, does not mention Lauren by name, but everything that she's doing has to do with her. She's soured up that she was let go from her contracting duties with Hidden True Crime, and she didn't want to make a clean break. She wanted to say, hey, I got these conversations. And you were honest enough to admit, hey, sometimes, I did say she was annoying. You know how many times I say my producer, Kristen, annoys me? I say it like maybe 3 times a day, but she annoys me and I love her and she knows it, so we have this open line of communication. So if I were to inadvertently fire her and say, hey, you're done with me, she could show you a bunch of messages of like, hey, DutyRon told me to stop it, or had a stern conversation with me. This is what happens when you have a relationship with someone who's working for you.
Well, I want to point out that while that was a certain part of the song, the beginning of that song, the lyrics are shoot the bailiff, karate kick the plaintiff. After I served her.
Yeah.
So, but nobody's going to pick that up, but I am.
Yeah.
The people sitting her at CrimeCon in the bar when she's like, I didn't do anything. I'm being attacked by a public figure. I bought my ticket here first. This is so sad.
Yeah, well,
aren't
let
going
me
to
ex-
see
let me
that.
talk about that from a law enforcement standpoint. It doesn't matter when she bought her ticket. Okay, the order was in place, signed by a judge. Okay, once that order is signed by a judge and in place, the fact that she bought a ticket a year in advance or whatever the case may be is meaningless. It has no weight of law. She's committing a crime by being within 500 feet. The fact that she bought a ticket a year in advance doesn't mean shit. Okay. She was served. She knew what she wasn't supposed to do by order of the judge. She violated it. End of story.
I want to point out too that I did not share. I did not share her TikTok account with you guys. You went and found it on your own, right? DutyRon? I did not.
No, you
went
definitely didn't
figured that-
share it. You definitely didn't share it. I found it because, look, all you have to do is a little detective work, and I wanted to know a little bit about, because I want to be able to see a little bit of the other side of it, and I wanted to actually see what you were talking about. So I did go on my own and look, and I would never leave a nasty comment for somebody. I don't do that. And I love that you encouraged during that 9-hour live stream, Lauren, because not many creators would do that. You encourage people not to cancel people, not to go over and leave comments on your behalf. You can't stop people from doing it, but you made the statement, which was very, very unique. Not many people would do that. So it's one of the many reasons why I'm friends with you, is because I love that you put the victims and their families first. We do that here. And everybody who knows us, I've been doing this since 2019. And I started out just, in my car and, walking around with a phone, and developed into a studio setting. But Ed and I are about educating, keeping people safe, giving the forensic side to these cases, and also helping people understand what's right and what's wrong. And in this instance here, what you've laid out, it shows everybody what's wrong with society, where people feel that it's okay to become a band of gang type mentality, where you take your beef that's one-on-one, or maybe with you and another person, or whatever the case may be, it's a small grouping, and now make it into a whole big bunch of people who are now, slandering and trying to, get your husband in trouble with his employment or what he does. And, none of it has worked, but it just goes to show you that, the steps that people will take is just so ridiculous. This is childish high school stuff,
Can I ask, as law enforcement, like knowing that you went and you looked and you found it on your own, I mean, I guess I could use a little bit of validation. I mean, what did you guys think when you saw her accounts?
Ed, I'll let you go first.
It's not normal behavior. Okay, there's something wrong. Okay, and I believe your name is hashtag attached to these.
Yeah,
okay.
that's true. Anyone that can actually, it's true. Anyone can find it. All they have to do is type in Lauren Matthias on TikTok, and I actually think her videos are the first ones that pop up because she does hashtag my name.
So why is it linked if it's not associated to you?
That's exactly what I did to find it, Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't know her name. You didn't share her name. You actually blurred her face out.
Mm-hmm.
You went extra steps to not dox her fully.
Correct.
Maybe in a couple of the papers there was little slips, and you were like, "Oh, oops!" But you took that extra step to protect her identity, which most people wouldn't. They would be like, "F you! I'm just gonna. Here it is. Everybody can go see it." So I searched your name in the search bar of TikTok, and all of this stuff came up, and all of the other, as I call them, jagaloons, these are adults who act like children, are on there saying their piece about you. And the funny thing, Lauren, is there's a lot of people who will talk, and Ed and I get it too. You're not alone. We get this stuff where people know nothing about us. I had just yesterday, I'm fighting cancer. I'm fighting all of these little side illnesses from lymphoma. And I'm going back and forth to Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and I haven't done live streams like in a month steady. And I get back into it just last week, and someone leaves a comment. What do you do with all your super chats and your money? Do you donate it to anybody? Do you give it to anybody? Like a nasty comment, somebody who never left a comment. And I just simply responded as like, you obviously don't know me, because I donate so much of the money that I make here to people who need it and to good causes like EquiSearch Midwest, who search for the missing. I donated over $20,000 to them. So like, not to get off of this topic of you, is just that I'm trying to make a point that people come and attack us and they don't know anything about us. So a lot of these girls who are saying shit about you and talking crap about you have no idea.
They don't know me. They don't know me.
Spend any time getting to know you. They're just like mob mentality. Oh, Christine, or this one said this and that one said this. Oh, she's bad. Let's just jump in. Ed.
Yeah, this is very toxic, and it breaks my heart. I hate to see it. Again, I can't stand bullying. I can't stand stalking. I can't stand any of this. There's no place in a civil society for any of this. Okay. And I mean, I don't understand how it got to this level and how it continued. After she caught a break with the first, interaction with law enforcement, and she the stuff at the restaurant, and then there's people I see in the chat too. I mean, the chat is getting toxic as well. There's people saying, well, who was in the restaurant first? It doesn't matter. Do you understand? It doesn't matter. Then there's other people, well, she made a false report. If Lauren made a false report, that's easily verified and would be a crime, and she would be arrested. Is she?
No,
I don't think so. A judge found what she presented as credible.
Yeah.
I called the police after learning that people wanted my head on a platter and to brace myself. And then I called the police for an escort in Boise to my car, which then the police officer suggested he write up an incident report for history purposes. So it was his idea. And yeah.
Documenting these instances where things happen. And that was a big restaurant. It didn't look like a small little place. She could have been anywhere in that spot so far away from you, or she could have maybe stumbled across you and said, oh shit, I better go the other way. But that's not what she did. And unbeknownst to her, you had a male friend who was there, who was taking those photos or of her and provided them to you.
In Aurora, Colorado. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thankfully, you had people, the good people on your side, because good people don't do this. I don't care. Look, and here's something that I'll put out there in the chat, and Ed and I say this all the time. If you support this type of behavior, I'm not for you, and you're not for me. The internet is a big place. There's millions of creators that you can go and engage in their toxic communities. Have at it. Go there. I know this. I could speak for you as well, Lauren. If you want toxic behavior and you want this negative stuff, you're not going to find it at HTC. You're not going to find it here on DutyRon, Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. And at the end of the day, the people who you thought were your friends, Lauren, like a lot of these news outlets, why aren't they knocking on your door and giving you their platform to talk about this? Why? Because you find out through trial and error, when times get tough, who really are your friends and who is really going to stick by your side. But again, I wanted to circle back because we're at the 45-minute mark. I didn't want to make this more than an hour. There was a case that Ed and I covered in 2022. It was a podcaster and his wife who had a similar situation where they got orders of protection. They were being stalked. Now, I don't want to cause more, trauma to you, but
okay.
We covered this, Lauren, and I think it's important. I'm only going to play just a little bit of it. It's a different set of circumstances because it's a female with a male stalker, but she went through the steps of making reports, but they didn't make the step. The fatal error was not shoring up their security. They didn't have cameras at their home. They didn't take the steps that you need to take when you get in positions like this. So I want to play this for our listening audience, this is the extreme. This is a real, this is the really bad result. But I think it's important that people hear this, because this is what can unfortunately happen when people engage in this behavior, because actions have, your actions have consequences, and that things bad can happen. This can go bad. So here's a quick example of what can happen and what could go bad as it pertains to stalking. So take a listen, folks.
More light on the slaying of a 33-year-old podcast host and her husband, murdered in their Seattle area home, police say, by her alleged stalker. Redmond police say Zora Sadeghi and her husband, Mohammed Milad Nasseri, were shot and killed Friday by this man, Raman Hoda Karamazai, before taking his own life.
The Redmond Police Department is familiar with both the victim and suspect in this case because of an active stalking investigation that was occurring.
Only a week before the murder, the couple desperately filing for an order of protection against the man they claimed was harassing Sadeghi to the point that she was, quote, suffering from a deep-seated fear for her safety. Police say the man initially reached out to Sadeghi on a chat platform as a listener and fan of her audio streaming, but his actions soon intensified. She said he delivered flowers to her home, sent jewelry and gifts, parked in her neighborhood to catch a glimpse of her, and repeatedly called her husband, friends, and neighbors. Sadeghi's petition documenting the dozens of phone calls, voicemails, and text messages she received, despite blocking his number and social media accounts.
In one of the reports, she reported over 100 contacts in a single day.
Sadeghi writing, his voice messages to me have been the cause of anxiety and insomnia for me. They include him crying and begging for me to pick up, him threatening to burn himself and the tree in front of my house. She asked that the order remain in place for 99 years because he has said many times that nothing short of his own death would make him leave me alone. Police say they were in the midst of trying to serve the order of protection, but the suspect, who lived in Texas and was a long-haul trucker, was difficult to track down.
All right, folks. And Lauren, I'm sorry. I wanted to, to give you that disclaimer before I played that, but this is the extreme. And I played that because as per law enforcement professionals, we see this. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that, God forbid you don't wish this on your worst enemy, but this is what solidifies and validates your fear, because you have no experience with this. Mm-hmm. At least not known to me. In your adult life, you have never had this situation happen to you to this extent. And, people are trying to, downplay your reaction to this. And I say this to you, ladies and gentlemen, how dare you even try to put yourselves in this woman's shoes? I wouldn't dare do it, because none of you know the fear that her and Grayson and her husband have experienced. And how dare you go and say, well, she's making more out of this than that. You have no idea. She has a small son. She has a young son at home. And she's a protective mother. So to have people say the nasty things that they're saying and do the nasty things that they're doing online, those are the people who I want to be over here, and they could stay over there. I don't want to be anywhere near somebody like that. And Ed, I know you feel the same way.
100%. If you come to this channel, you're here to be educated. You're here to get our personal experience and our training, our certification, and how we see things with these true crime cases that we highlight here. Okay. And we support the victims. Okay. And anything else other than that, if then you shouldn't be here. Okay. You don't have to agree with us, but we be respectful to each other. You have to, you listen to what we have to say, whether you agree with us or disagree with it, that's fine. Just be respectful. You can agree to disagree. There's no reason that we have to go down into the gutter and start slamming each other and calling each other names and trying to personally attack each other, and get all defensive and so forth and toxic. There's no reason. There's no reason for any of that.
Yeah, if you don't like somebody, there's so many other people that you can go and watch. If you don't like Lauren, don't watch her.
And I'm okay if you don't like me, and I'm okay if you think I'm annoying. I'm okay if people think I'm a bitch. It's okay. Just go leave me alone.
Yeah. Yeah, and really that's what this boils down to. And look, I have a whole bunch of other questions. I think, you know, we covered a lot here, but if you don't mind, Lauren, I'd like to go to our channel members, some of the folks who are loyal Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace subscribers and subscribers of the channel. If you have any questions, Lauren, I think you had agreed that we would ask some audience questions. And if there's
Absolutely.
anything that we didn't get to here, because, you know, I know we were kind of all over the place, and I want to say that Megan Connor, I know she's a friend of yours. It's Lori Shallovallo Daybell's cousin, a
Mhm.
great friend. She did a live stream before this, an hour,
Mm.
and oh my God, I was listening to it while I was preparing here in the studio. And Megan, I don't know if she's here in the chat, but she really, if you want to listen to a breakdown, Megan took that 9 hours that you did and broke it down into an hour-long session. She did a
Wow.
fantastic job, and
I didn't know she did that. I didn't know she did that. Wow.
yeah, I'm going to link it in the description. I'm also a channel member of hers and yours, Lauren. So let's go hashtag Lauren, or just let's make it easy.
Yeah.
Hashtag HTC with your question. Let's keep it on topic. Let's be respectful, and I'll ask the questions.
Great. And I have a question for you again too. Well, you'll ask me, and I have questions again. Also, like I said, you like I really do want to ask you questions. You said you saw. You said you saw her on my channel previously. She was at another trial where I was sort of getting to know her, and you pointed some things out, Ron, and I was wondering if you'd be willing to just, like, from your assessment in law enforcement, or what, I don't know, or what you saw more on the
Yeah.
accounts, or what your thoughts are. I don't know though what you're allowed to say or not.
Yeah, no, I could say whatever. I can say anything. So I because I listened to your 9 hours in 5 different sessions. I picked up that you shared some important dates, and I think one of those dates was like July 10th or something like that. And it was where you were at the Alec Baldwin trial, and
Mhm.
and Christina came up to you, I believe, while you were there, and she put her arm around you, and she said, like, "I'm here for you. I went to CrimeCon because you couldn't go, to represent you." And then you stopped her and you were like, "Yeah, I had a free ticket and I gave it to you." Just everything about that initial, for me, engagement, when I looked at her, I knew nothing about this whole history, because at that point it was, I think it's 2 or 3 hour mark of your video. It
Yeah.
was in between that the first setting that I was listening to, the piece that I was listening to. And when I watched her, just something about her was just like very, I, as a law enforcement professional, I was just like, ugh, it just icked me out. Like, I don't know what it was. And I could play it because I saved it here. But it was just something about the way she was putting her arm around you. And I don't know if that was the first time you met her or if it was your initial engagement with her. It just kind of was creepy, like it just didn't seem natural. It just seemed really like weird.
Yeah.
So fake.
And one of them is, why do you think they were doing this? This is interesting. This is from a police officer in Aurora. So the second night when the Aurora police said to us, "Go look in the bar to make sure she's not there. Tell us if she is." We were again given that order by police after the Clue Awards. And then we saw her, and so we said, "Yeah, she's there." And they said, "Okay, well, we're gonna go ask her to leave so you can go in." And we ended up actually having to wait for 45 minutes before we could go into the bar. I'd be really interested what that body cam footage looks like. I don't know. But um, when the police officer came back out and said, "Okay, it's safe, you guys can go in," because it had taken so long, I did say to the police officer, I said, "Just from your standpoint, like, I don't know what happened down there, but like, what's their argument? Like, can you tell me why why they're doing this, or why they're saying they're doing this?" Like, because and his response was, "It sounds like they were riding your coattails and you cut the coattails." That was his response to me after spending 45 minutes downstairs. So I just thought that was interesting. I haven't seen that body cam footage. I don't know what it is, but it's something I'll share. I didn't share that on my 9-hour live.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, I don't think I saw that what you described there, but the body cam footage. She tried to control the police officers.
Mhm.
There was 2 of them there, and she kept cutting them off, and was trying to tell them like what like they were trying to give her instructions, and she just kept cutting them off. Yes, I know. Yes, I have a picture of it on my phone, like admitting that she knew. Like Ed said, he pointed it out. She knew that this order was in place, but yet still took it upon herself to go there. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you're like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to. Oh, there's a puppy.
Giving me some therapy right
Yeah.
now. So yeah, she's
Love
been here the whole time, but
Oh,
she just made an appearance.
good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she basically was saying to those officers, it's like, I know that I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here, and I bought my ticket in June or whenever, she said, like way in the past. And my friend's here, and she was like fake crying, like trying to give that fake that she was upset. She was upset that she was busted. She was upset that they were telling her, you can't come in. You got to go back to the hotel. And that really got her.
What's with the no shoes?
Yeah.
I
Good talk.
don't know.
Who goes and walks around a convention hall for a conference with no shoes?
I don't know. And honestly, I was actually very scared to. You can see in the photo, like I was sitting at a table, a high top table. I'd been there for a while, and I knew that she was there. People were telling me she's there, and I looked and I saw. I was like, oh my gosh, she's there. Actually wasn't about to get up because I was just like, why is she here? So I just sat there and I didn't really look, but other people were telling me she doesn't have any shoes on. She doesn't have any shoes on. And then she had a camera. I mean, it was just so, I don't know. I don't know.
Let's listen
Questions
to
we want to have answers to. So sorry. Yeah. People can ask me questions.
I want to listen to this. I want to show everybody this interaction that I was talking about that kind of icked me out. This is at the Alec Baldwin trial. I want to play it.
This is one of the many reasons people are coming. Christina, do you want to do an interview? Do you want to do an interview? What?
I'm just here for you. I'm just here for
I'm
you.
just here for you.
This is also Christina. Christina and I were at the Daybell trial together.
Yeah.
And so you were here.
I'm here for her. Just moral support.
Moral support.
Just kidding. Here
No,
to also see it too.
You
And
want to
moral
see,
support.
yeah. And you're
Let's
interested.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see.
I mean,
So-
I feel like you should show our conversation last night about how I feel.
I did. Yeah. So, well, that's a great example. I will share a little bit, but I won't share.
You can share how I feel.
Okay. So, well, do you want to share how you feel? I was like, why don't you
Here's
share?
the deal.
Why do I, if you're here,
I went to CrimeCon, basically for you because you couldn't go. Just kidding.
that is true. Actually, my ticket that's actually someone gifted me went to Christina.
was gifted to me.
Because I couldn't end up going to CrimeCon because I wanted to stay for the full Chad Daybell trial and the sentencing, which happened during CrimeCon. So Christina, who I met at a hidden gem, who I met at the Chad Daybell trial, went in my place. All right.
Okay. I'm on live right now explaining why you need to come because you're my.
She's trying to explain about the gun. I don't even want to hear about that. She was doing the whole. No.
Yeah.
Very awkward. People are saying in the chat. Hashtag HTC with your questions, and we'll try to wrap it up. Lauren, I know, this, and again, I want to thank you for coming on here with us. And I know you said in the beginning up front that, you're trying to figure out a way to get back. When you feel right, you'll know it, and you'll come back, and you'll go full force. And, everybody will be there who loves and supports you. The negatives and these people who are going to come on, and like we have some toxic people in the chat, we take care of that after the fact. We go, and I have folks who watch and look at the chat, and if our moderators miss something, we kind of weed our garden after the fact. So heads up, and thank you to all the mods who are doing double time here tonight. But yeah, if anybody has questions, I haven't seen anything in the chat, question wise as it pertains to this. But yeah, I mean, I have a whole list of questions. Ed, do you have anything that you might want to ask Lauren?
No, I don't want to ask or anything, but I just want to tell you, please be safe. All right. Be prepared and watch your six. Okay. it's sad today in our society that these things are occurring, and people need to understand the ramifications of their actions and how their words and deeds online, in public, on social media and so forth, can end up triggering other people to do very bad things.
Thank you for saying that again. That's important too. I think maybe that was something I didn't emphasize enough on my live, is it wasn't just what I felt was threatening from her. And again, feeling threatened is an emotion, whether you think she was or wasn't. I felt threatened. I still feel threatened. I currently feel threatened. But when somebody is also reaching out and instigating more people to be upset at you, it gets even scarier, because what if the threat ends up not being her, but a person from my past that I've been trying to stay away from, and she contacts them and riles them up. And I've now learned from multiple people through a police report. So that false police report, I actually learned that she reached out to my ex-contractor. From Lori Hellis, I learned that she reached out to her. I'm learning from people that she, from, a national TV producer, I learned that she reached out to her. And so when you start reaching out to people to say, I'm terrible, and you're, like I said, you're getting the ball rolling, where do the threats end? Like, who's angry at me? Who's not? I'm very scared. I am still very scared.
Yeah, and why does your husband have to be brought into this? That's the crazy part of it. Like, in my looking at this and what you've discussed in that 9 hours of live streaming, I'm sure that as a team, the decision to cut ties with any contractor at any given time, you guys talk about it together. But the angle of going after your husband, the vile, we didn't even touch on it, your brother who died from a traumatic brain injury, right? This community here, when that you were going through that, we were there with you and sending you love and support. To bring up the things that they brought up about your brother, we didn't even touch on that. That was vile. I don't want to get into it here, but for me, that made it so outrageous and so egregious. I just couldn't even believe that they had the audacity to go there. And that's what makes people subhuman. Like, in my eyes, the people who support this, and I don't give a shit if I lose 1,000 subscribers over this. If you're engaging in that kind of behavior, you're a subhuman. That's Lauren's brother, who she loved dearly, who died from an ATV accident and a traumatic brain injury over a period of time. How dare you make allegations or accusations of anything that had to do with her brother? That is not your family. Stay the fuck away from that. So when people do stuff like that, it's just outrageous. Guilty of crime. Jay, thank you for being here. She says, #Lauren, what's next for you? Will you refile? Valid question and a good one.
To be determined. I know that both of you have shared with me what you think I should do. Yeah, I might. But I might take a different approach this time. Maybe federal. I don't know. We'll see.
Awesome. Thank you for answering that. Another person asked a question, and I'm not sure if you want to go there, but they made a reference, and the chat's moved quickly, so I lost it. They asked about if you know, or if you have an idea of how Law and Crime Trial Channel got a hold of your story, and was Anjanette Levy involved in it? And they mentioned that in the
Yeah, I have no clue. I know that people have brought up that one creator named Lori Hellis shared that she was with my stalker, and Anjanette Levy was there. I don't even know if Anjanette Levy was talking to them, though. So I don't want to pull her into this. I don't know. Maybe she was standing up for me. I don't know. All I know is that allegedly the three of them were together at CrimeCon when my stalker was asked to leave the second night after the Clue Awards. Not the night that the photo was taken, but the next night.
Got it. I think I saw Megan Connor in the chat. Megan, do you have anything? Because I actually invited her to come on, but she was doing the live stream before this. So maybe you know how that goes. You get kind of talked out when you do a live stream before. So I had invited her to come up and maybe come on and give a little bit of her, because she said she was there on with some of the stuff that you went through with you during some things she mentioned to me, because her and I talk as well. So Megan said, you know, I was there to witness some of this stuff. So that's why I thought, as you know, my detective mind was going, I was like, well, this is good, because this is somebody who's a third party that, you know, yes, she's one of your friends, but you met her through this business. She's not somebody who's been your childhood friend.
Right.
And I thought that she would be good to give our listening audience a little bit of insight to what she saw you have to go through. But being that she can't come on, what was she there for? What did Megan see?
You know, I don't want to speak for her. Actually, I didn't know she was going live, and I don't know what she said on her live. I think she met my ex-contractor, producer. And so I assume she has thoughts from that. And then Megan was a support while I was starting to sort of realize that I was being sort of shunned, like something was going on. The whisper campaign, she was around during that and really angry. And so she was noticing it. And feeling the effects of it a little bit too is odd. There was sort of like this partisan, I don't know, it was weird. And so I think she saw that happening, and she saw the fear in as it began, because it was at, when everything sort of started, it was at one of the Lori Vallow Daybell trials. And so she was present, and I think she felt and saw my fear. And I had mentioned getting a threatening voicemail, and it started to snowball really fast when it started. It was starting to get really scary, just like as things were, you know, and I didn't know what was going on. And I think that Megan probably saw a lot of that happening. And, you know, someone else that did was Susan Hendricks. Like, she was there from the beginning too, and like saw sort of like the shift of everything and what was happening, and how it's honestly never been the same since. It just, you know, it just keeps getting worse. It's sort of like, just ignore it. We're good. You get over it. But it has gone on for months and months and months.
The problem, the danger, and Ed, you, I know you can jump in on this. The danger in ignoring something like this is it doesn't go away. It just snowballs. And when you ignore somebody like this, they go next levels. It just continues on until they can get a response from you. So going the law enforcement route was the proper route to go, and getting representation. So quick pat on the back from us, from, you know, retired law enforcement. Anybody that's out there, if somebody is making you feel uncomfortable, no matter what it is, it doesn't matter what level it is, if you're just causing your day-to-day to be impacted, and you are afraid to go outside and so forth, you have to document that. Because without paper, without it being documented and a report being done, then it's your word against theirs, you know. And you have to screenshot and save everything. I know you and Grayson are doing it, and shout out to Grayson for being a good support system for you. And she's going through it as well. I don't want to leave her out of it. And Dr. John, they're, you know, all three of you guys and the extended family are all victims here as it pertains to this. And again, good people don't do this, you know. This is not behavior of good human beings. So I want to know, go ahead.
It's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and when you said what you just said about escalation, about being ignored, and right away my mind goes back to the movie Fatal Attraction. Okay, and Glenn Close character. Okay,
Yeah, a lot of people
how
brought
desperate and how much she escalated the situation when she felt she was ignored. In fact, she even told Michael Douglas's character, Dan, I will not be ignored. And then the next thing you know, there's a rabbit boiling on the stovetop in his house. Okay.
Yeah, people have brought that particular scene up with the rabbit. Exactly. And that was an interesting moment for me when I had been ignoring this group. It was a group effort. Only, one of them is on TikTok, although when there are photos of the others there and the people commenting are the other people I mentioned. And they've all written declarations for the court, which is why I used some first names the other night. But one thing that was a moment for me, I had been ignoring. And when they came up to my dinner table in Boise, this group of women, the most interesting thing I think I recorded was they said, quit acting like nothing's wrong. Like they were angry that I wasn't responding. And then their declarations for the court, which I actually couldn't get to because it would have been on an 11-hour live. So I still have that. But they state that I am trying to provoke a confrontation by being in their space, even though I'm covering these trials and they're actually just, they attend them. One of them, my ex-contractor goes for work, but quit acting like nothing's wrong. That was their beef. And that I had sent one of their friends, an ex-contractor, a cease and desist, which has nothing to do with them. And it's, business is business. I'm sure you've sent them before too.
Yes. Yes.
So.
There's different levels to this, and no two are the same. But again, I showed the most extreme version of it, and I thought it was important to put that out there as a PSA, and also to anybody, whether you're a creator or just someone who has an online presence. If you're being harassed, stalked, or annoyed in your daily life with text messaging, messages through social media, save them, report them. Don't ever just say, "Oh, this is just some crazy. This is some
childish bullshit." Yes.
Yeah, you can't just ignore it. A threat is a threat. We're living in a different day and age, and look at what we have. We have people getting shot in the neck for voicing their opinions and utilizing their freedom of speech. And you have politicians and others who are getting firebombed at their home. The Pennsylvania governor, I could just go down a whole list of people. And this type of behavior incites violence. Yes. It may not be the exact person that's doing it. It may not be Christina, but it could be someone that's within that massive group or however size it is. I don't know the reach. Full disclaimer, until the 15th, when Lauren did this video, I knew none of these names on this list. I don't know Christina. I don't know Lindsay. I don't know Lori Hellis. I don't know Janice. I don't know who the hell these people are. But I did come to look at Christina and her activity, and it was not normal. This is not someone who's been fired from a job or dismissed from, being a general contractor. Many people hire you and fire you as business moves in different directions. Just take it and move on to your next, form of income, and just leave the people alone. So I want to just end by saying, Lauren, I support and we stand in solidarity with you and your husband and your family. Anything we could do as far as advice or anything, you always have my platform. You have a huge platform as well, and a lot of great true crime gems there over at Hidden True Crime. During the Richard Allen trial, it was great collaborating with you, and we look forward to doing it in the future. But you have my number, you have Ed's number. You could reach out to us at any time. For those of you who disagree, it's always okay to disagree.
It is. It is okay to disagree and to not like me. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
But be respectful.
Yeah. One thing I want to thank Megan too. I was thinking of the past of the trial, but I want to say too, she was with me in the bar that night at CrimeCon. I was thinking the past, and I'm a little shaken tonight, but like as it went on, I was like, wait, she was also with me recently. So she was there for a lot of it. So.
She mentioned it tonight. Okay, so that's why I mentioned it. Okay. And again, we understand that, your cage has been rattled and you're not on your A game, and rightfully so. I understand that. but know that you have more love than hate. There's more people who love you and appreciate you. And for those who know what you're doing, who have been around you for a long time, I mean, look, there's people here in the chat that have bad things to say about Ed and I right now for standing with you. Those are people who don't know anything about us, that do not know that we know the difference between right and wrong. And we call it out when we see it. Some people might not like what we call out, but at the end of the day, we both could lay our head down on our pillow and know that we did the right thing. So on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, we want to thank Lauren and the Hidden True Crime community. I hope you guys consider hitting the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up on both channels, the Hidden True Crime and Crime Time with DutyRon here. I'll link Lauren's channel in the description. Again, I'm a subscriber and a member over there, proud member. And I'm really only a member of a handful of YouTube content creators, because you have to really, you know, it's hard to support a whole group of people, but I do the best that I can with subscribing. But becoming a channel member is another step, as you know, and it's a level of support that is always appreciated. So thank you, Lauren, for being here. I'll give you final words.
No, thank you for having me here. I'm sorry if people disagree with what I did. But like I said, I'm okay if people disagree, but please, let's do it peacefully. And I just, like I said, I want to thank you for being a safe space to jump on. This is my first appearance on YouTube since I did a 9-hour live. And by the way, I never thought that was going to be a 9-hour live. I knew that I was going to get through all the information I needed to get through. So I had the information. I thought it was going to be long. I thought it was going to be 4 hours tops, but it was adrenaline, necessity, and if I was going to do it, I was going to do it right. I was going to be honest. I was going to be vulnerable. I was going to share it. So I just, like I said, I'm going to keep I have to work. This is now my work, and so I will be back. But it was sort of like the aftershocks of doing that live. There was like a lot of this, like I said, like necessity and adrenaline and fear and panic. And so I've just been sort of like regrouping. John and I do plan to talk about it further. It may or may not be on YouTube. It might be on Patreon. Like I said, I'm sorry. We feel better behind a paywall. We do. It is what it is. When this happens, that happens. John never sought out to be a part of this, something like this. He just wanted to share his knowledge with the world.
Yeah.
So, but we'll be back. I actually think I'm going to record an episode tonight, and I do want to encourage our gems to subscribe to YouTube, because I chose you for a reason. Thank you for being so victim centered. Thank you for being such a dear friend. Thank you for being such good people, both of you. Please, support DutyRon and his channel, and thank you for supporting us. It means a lot to us.
You're very welcome. And it was our honor and our privilege to have you on. And I know that we didn't get to everything, because there will always be these unanswered questions. Like, look at this super chat. Carrier Marie, thank you. She said, thoughts on being friends with fans in the future, maybe NDAs for contractors.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So yes, NDAs are now a part of anyone and everyone that works for us. Like I said, I actually grew really fast. And I didn't understand. I was too friendly, and being friends with fans in the future. That actually is a part. I sort of talked about that on my live, because it breaks my heart, because I love people. I love people's stories. I love talking to people. I love meeting fans at trials. I went to CrimeCon for many reasons and for work, but also to meet many fans of the podcast who requested I be there and who I had merchandise for to give out. And I love that, because I don't get to meet everyone. And I am afraid that I am a bit changed forever, and that I don't know if I will ever be that close to, I will continue to look forward to meeting fans, but it has definitely affected me at this time.
Yeah, Ed and I were going to go, and he was supposed to be in Morocco, so we had to cancel. Otherwise, we would have been there. But look, if you haven't changed your mind and you go next year to CrimeCon, we'll get a booth next to each other, and we'll provide you free security, Ed and I. So, but yeah, it changes everything, and there's no doubt that you have to change everything that you're doing now because of this, and that's the world we live in, unfortunately. You know, you can't take this stuff lightly, and when people do take this stuff lightly, sometimes there's an opportunity. So I want to end this on a high note, and I want to thank everybody for being here, the replay viewers, the super chatters. There's so many super chats. I'm going to do another stream again just to thank everybody. But Lauren, I want to thank you, Grayson, your wonderful husband, Dr. John, and the whole Hidden True Crime community for being here and being a part of your live stream and getting some of your questions out. And look, if folks have questions that they forgot to ask, the great part about the comment section is you could leave a comment and we'll answer those questions. If it's something that's pressing, I'll get it over to Lauren, and I'll pass it along to Grayson, and maybe she can answer them. So on behalf of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace, I want to thank you for being here. Again, sending strength, prayers, and positive vibes to Lauren and her family. They need us now more than ever. Let's stand by them. Let's support them with positive vibes and energy. That's what they need. And anybody who loves and cares for them, that's what you should do. Ed, I know you have something to say at the end of all these things, so let's end it out with Ed Wallace.
All right, folks, I want to thank you for spending your valuable time with us here. We know you can get your true crime fix anywhere you like on the internet, but this is a more serious issue than our standard cases that we normally do. And thank you for supporting Lauren. And please pray for sanity, okay? And bring this, our nation back to a sound and sane footing again. And as I said earlier, you don't have to accept what Ron and I say or anybody says, but you can respectfully agree to disagree. And it shouldn't bring about violence of any kind. It shouldn't bring about stalking. It shouldn't bring about harassing or making threats, okay? Definitely shouldn't bring about murder. Okay, because you don't agree with what somebody has to say. That's just crazy. It's just not normal. Okay. Well, thanks again, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Lauren, we'll speak soon. I'll keep in touch with you. And good night from New York City. We'll see you soon.
Call us if you need us.
Okay. Bye-bye.